Hello, I'm Britten LaRue, and I'm making this video. If you're someone who's just coming to astrology and the tarot, you're you're realizing that there's this whole world of wisdom tradition out there that you maybe because of religious reasons, because of exposure reasons, you just really weren't aware that you could have access to this. And now you're realizing, oh, this is all here. I'm overwhelmed. Where do I begin? Do I have to do one at a time? Can I do them both together? Which one should I do first? This video is for you. I have a school. I'm an astrology teacher. I'm head witch at the Emergence Astrology School for Mystery and Magic. I no longer really even do readings as an astrologer because I'm so busy as a teacher and as a writer. And so I started with both. So from the beginning of teaching astrology, I've also always taught tarot at the same time. It's not for everyone, but basically my whole community, we just speak both languages together at the same time. And having both with you allows you to just feel more able to access the words to describe what you want to say. And that's how we communicate. We communicate through language, and both of these wisdom traditions are languages. So once you speak the language, you now have words for things that you previously felt, but you didn't have a name for. And if you don't have a name for something, it's very difficult to relate to it. So once you have the name for a thing, you can now discuss it. You can now share about it. You can reflect on it. You can give other people your wisdom about it. So it creates this incredible context for human relating. And that's why astrology spaces tend to be so intimate, I found, is because we're in a shared language together. It's really, really beautiful. So to help us out today, I pulled 3 cards just now from my tarot deck, and I asked, what would be the 3 main reasons why it would be a good idea to begin learning both systems at the same time. And these cards are amazing. Okay, so the first card I pulled is art. I mean, how great is this? This is Temperance and other decks if you're used to the tarot. Here we're literally seeing someone putting together 2 different things into a cauldron and making something beautiful. That's the art. So what it's speaking to me here is by bringing them together, we actually create way more than the sum of its parts. This is a case where more isn't overwhelming. More is just more awesome. Like it just makes everything more amazing and more artful the more you have access to both. So how do you begin, right? How do you begin making this art? You have to start at the very beginning. And what's so cool here is that both astrology and the tarot have a common core piece that they share that is the most wonderful way to begin. And that is through understanding the 4 elements. So the 4 elements of astrology are the same 4 elements that we see in the tarot. And it is through that elemental understanding that we begin to weave out this larger design from both of them. So let's talk a little bit about the elements, but this is not a teaching video. There's fire. Fire is the highest rising of the elements. It's like, whoa! Fire in us is our passion. We're glittery. We're like up in our energy. So fire parts of us, the 3 fire signs, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. Then there's the wands of the tarot. The wands are the suit of the minor arcana, we call it, that are associated with fire. And so the whole of the wands is also layered with the speech of astrology, which you can choose to ignore if you only want to learn the tarot. But throughout the wands, there's so many wisdom teachings to help us to hold our fire, to hold our passions, our creativity, our eroticism, our aliveness, and bring it into the world. and bring it into the world in ways that we feel really proud of, that we find really fun, that feels like so creative and life-giving. This is like an ageless part of ourselves, our fire. And, we can share our fire. We don't lose anything in sharing it. It's just such a fun experience to be in our fire. And yeah, art is associated with the sign of Sagittarius, actually, which is one of the fire signs. And then there's just underneath that, like in terms of quality, like weight, we have air. So air is the mental realm, the thoughts, the sharing between space that we humans do here. We associate those with Gemini, Libra, Aquarius in astrology. And these are the swords in the minor arcana of the tarot. And so this is how we communicate. This is how we think. It's a huge part of life, is working with our swords. And sometimes things happen with our swords that we don't feel good about. So sometimes swords can be the hardest one, because a lot of us can have a lot of like mental contraction, neurodivergence. A lot of this is because we live in a culture where certain ways of thinking are triumphed, or are celebrated and centered, and other ways are not as much. And so we often have a lot of stories about how we think and how we talk and how we communicate. And the sword cards can help you move through the experiences of being a human with sword. Then we have water. Water is the feeling realm. Feelings, emotions, they roll up like the ocean. We're in one mood, and then the emotions can come in, and now we're in another mood. It's associated with our tears. And so we associate these in astrology with Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces in the cups suite of the minor arcana of the tarot. And so we live in a culture that I would say is very emotionally immature. Like it's not a part of us that is very centered. And so a lot of my courses are on teaching skillful feelership, I like to call it, because the more comfortable we can be with the mystery of our feelings, the more we're able to identify, like, is this from the past? Is this in the present? Is this mine? Is this someone else's? Is it collective? Whose feelings are these? Why is this feeling happening? A lot of that's mysterious, but it doesn't mean that we can't get empowered there. It just means cultivating skills that no one ever taught us. So when we become more attuned to ourselves, we can cultivate the intuitive, psychic abilities to do really miraculous things with our water. Okay, and then we have Earth, Earth being the heaviest, Earth associated with Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn in astrology, and with the pentacles or the discs, coins, roots. There's a lot of different names in tarot decks for the earth part of the minor arcana. And this relates to the fact of our being in bodies, in this material life, this life that's here, that relates to money, it relates to survival, food, shelter. It relates to how we make things, we craft things. It relates to how we build things, how we manifest things. The earth part of ourself is the part of us that is showing up to this human life, which is a really big part of being here. So that's art. The second reason I would suggest bringing them in together is fortune came forward. And what's cool here is there's this wheel for the Wheel of Fortune, which also looks like a chart, a chart with its houses. We associate this card with Jupiter, which has me feeling into how supportive both of these wisdom traditions, these technologies, these divination systems, these languages, they're all those things. Astrology and the tarot help us to be with time, which is always like bringing us things like things are up and then things are down, fortune, misfortune. But it's so hard to say when something is actually fortune or misfortune because we don't know what's next in the story. You know how it's true that that shitty thing happened, like you didn't get the thing you wanted. But because you didn't get the thing you wanted, you started to do this other thing. And because you did that other thing, then you met this person, and this person ends up becoming one of the greatest gifts of your life. So we don't know what's next in the story. That's a Jupiter teaching. We don't know. So how do we be here in time where we have all kinds of opinions about the past? We have a lot of opinions about what we hope the future will be. But the only thing that we have control over is how we approach this present moment. That's what emergence is about. That's why I call my whole approach emergence astrology. And emergently, the chart has information. We can hear that information from within ourselves, from above, connecting to our spirit guides. This is my cosmology, take it or leave it, through one another, supporting one another and reading charts and understanding the possibilities of the moment with astrology. And we can also be with our deck in a moment that we're in. We can turn to the deck for support in being here right now. A lot of the times astrology and the tarot are truly divinatory and they truly tell you about the future, but only that is only helpful to the degree that you're able to be with yourself here now. And so being here now with yourself has to be, in my opinion, that's why I have this approach, emergence astrology, has to be the most important thing that we're doing. We're making magic right here. We can divine, but that divination is shit if we can't be with ourselves in an empowering way now, and we can't be able to listen. So those are the things that I teach. Okay, and then finally, the third reason to do both is Knight of Cups, which is like a very, 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 very powerful card for coming into like wonder, coming into healing, like catharsis, transcendence, like that sense of like, the world is as magical as I hoped it was when I was a kid, like, wow, like the world is a wondrous place. The world is a miraculous place. What? Like things can get so wildly wondrous in the space of both together. Deck chart, deck the zodiac, your deck, you're with your planets. Like when you can hook your relating to reality with the wondrous, you're weaving with astrology and the tarot. And wonder is one of the ingredients that you're weaving your reality with. Things get miraculous. Things do get wondrous. Things do get magical. It's a trust practice. It's so scary to trust. It's the scariest thing. Because we're the only ones that can give ourselves the ability to trust like that. The validation that I do indeed trust that the miraculous is working through me. That's a bold thing to say. And so it takes practice and holding the capacity of being in relationship to wonder, which is one of the central things that we do in my spaces. So I hope that this was a supportive invitation into learning both at the same time. If you would like to learn astrology, I suggest you get my book because my book has the tarot in it. I weave them together in Living Astrology. You do not need your chart for this. This is a chartless approach. It's about living astrology month to month. So each chapter engages with the sign that the sun is in. So you go to the chapter that we're in, not based on like you were born a Scorpio. or not like, I have an Aquarius moon, I'll go to the Aquarius chapter. I would say, no, go to the Aquarius chapter when the sun's in Aquarius and we're in Aquarius season. That's how you engage with this book. That's how you really allow the language to live through you and with you. So that would be a starting place that I would suggest, that I wish that my younger self had. I dreamed my way into being the person that made that book because of my younger self's yearnings. So you can find Living Astrology in bookstores anywhere, and otherwise you can just catch me here and through my podcast Moon to Moon. All of my podcasts are published here in YouTube, mostly audio, but that would be another place to be able to learn from and with me. Thank you so much.